Hey guys, and welcome back to the finals of the boxing Manhwa. This is the final chapters of the boxing Manhwa, and it's gonna be super special. I'm excited for how you guys are gonna see how things are gonna finally play out in these final chapters. And I'm one of those people who always had a thing for boxing, and with these chapters coming to end, I'll just sit back and relax and enjoy how this beautiful ending turns out once and for all. As Ryu is preparing for his match with Jay, he thinks about how he's going to apologize to Jay, so he asks John for help. So he asks John how he would feel if someone he hated come out of nowhere and started apologizing to him. And John replied it would be pretty weird. And even though this is just a small scene, it shows how Ryu is making the right steps in his life that can still be challenging. Since Ryu is a powerful guy, it makes it hard for him to show some humility, but when he can, it lightens the weight off his back. As we change into the Wayne scene, we see how Ryu is getting nervous over meeting Jay again. And as he thinks to himself, I don't want to lose to him, as he finally meets Jay, and he sees that his gaze is as strong as it was back then. So he holds off on the apology and says, I'll beat you in the ring. All the shame, anger, jealousy, delight in seeing him again, regret, fear, and countless other emotions about the past came alive. Now the day of the match, we both see Ryu and Jay preparing for the fight, and seeing them walk into the ring is a similar face-off to when they had as kids. His coaches are giving him advice about Jay and what he should and should not do, and mentions, you seem to know them. Ryu responds, it's just an ill-fated relationship. As the march starts, we see that Ryu was talking trash like he did back then, and the only response that Jay gives is a strong right jab. As we see Ryu on the ground, Jay's coach thinks about how Jay prepared for this match to overcome Ryu's shadow, which is ironic in itself because Ryu is just a form shadow of himself. As Ryu lays on the ground, he thinks, did Jay really just hit me back that hard? As Ryu gets back up on the ground, Jay charged at him with a bombardment of attacks, and as the fight continues, he realizes his punches are connecting with Jay but having no effect. And during the fight, we see his eyes waver, showing that how their positions are switched because in the past, Ryu would look down at the weak, but he can't stand up to see how weak he has become. As the first round ends, Jay mentions how Ryu might be hiding his true abilities, as Ryu's coach gives him advice saying, I'm going to end this now even with injury in my knee. In the second round, Ryu starts attacking like he used to, which catches Jay off guard, but Jay tries his best to block Ryu's punches, and as we see his determination in his eyes, Jay notices Ryu is slowing down and using that movement. He thinks back to his old training he did and how the experience accumulated over years, and all the times he pushed himself to the limit to where he can catch Ryu's punches, then counter it with his own, knocking out Ryu's smelter in this amazing piano. And as we see Ryu knocked out for the second time, he's thinking that what we're thinking the entire time, that Jay is completely out of Ryu's reach. But as Ryu gets up, he's thinking it's not possible that Jay has surpassed me. And as he's getting up, we can see his knee isn't holding up so well. So as the round starts again, Ryu is blitzing towards Jay with punches, but does nothing as Jay just takes them and counters with his own punches, and knocking down Ryu, where we can see her reputation of Ryu falling behind everyone else as they continue on with their lives. As Ryu's on the ground, his coach is giving up a talk, basically saying, you didn't do all this work to give up to lay on the ground without putting everything you have into this fight. That's what being a boxer is all about. Causing Ryu to get up from the ground, where we can see us taking a lot of damage. As the round continues, Jay pounds Ryu for 30 seconds, and as the 30 seconds continues, we can see a flashback of all Ryu's mistakes. As the round ends, Ryu and his coach is thinking of another plan for the third round, where we can see Ryu using a clinch to interrupt Jay when he's in the zone, because in boxing you can win points with using that. That's a good plan, but the problem is Ryu cannot still beat Jay with that plan since Jay is still out of his reach. As the fight continues, we see there's no way of him winning because people who don't have talent have to learn through experience and effort, which is something Ryu can't make up for right now. Ryu doesn't know how to win as the match round comes to the end and continues as the sixth round ends, and the coach says, I'm not sure if you can win like this, but Ryu, continue with this fight. Attempt to prove you're something to Jay. During the fight, we see Ryu's inner monologue as he thinks about how jealous he is of Jay and how his life been so far. He can feel every bit of effort Jay puts into his punches, which is in contrast to his erratic life. And as Jay is getting close to Ryu is thinking of all the friendships he made along the way that he couldn't have before. Then when he actually sees him landing a punch on Jay, finally, but Jay responds with uppercut. Ryu says, you're really strong. And even though it's pretty much accepted that Ryu is going to lose this fight, he's not upset with that because something ridiculous occurs that some people might call fate. An accident happens where Ryu left a small cut above Jay's left eye. And after Ryu gave Jay the cut above his eye, Jay snaps out of it and starts attacking again. But during the entire fight, we see that Ryu starts getting the upper hand due to the blood blocking Jay's vision. And Ryu is conflicted because he didn't want the fight to go in this direction just because he got lucky with one punch. Jay's punches are still too powerful for Ryu, but due to the loss of vision on Jay's part, enables Ryu to continue the fight. As the fight continues, we see past memories of their life and how it led them to where they are right now. We see how how Ryu's life changes for the better as the last punch between Jay and Ryu connects. And as Ryu is about to kneel over, he models how he can't give up right now. He needs to prove to Jay that he has grown, his one and only friend. But at that moment, you hear the bell ring declaring Ryu the winner as the match stops and a doctor stoppage. Ryu didn't want to win like this. Jay walks up to Ryu to congratulate him, but as Jay congratulates him, Ryu apologizes to him as the crowd roars. In the final epilogue, we see Ryu and Jay are meeting up talking to each other. As Ryu and Jay are talking, Ryu mentions that he's nervous to meet up with Ryu since it's been a while since Ryu has seen him, since he hasn't seen him since middle school day. But Jay vouches for him, saying that they've been exchanging letters. Contrary to Ryu's concerns, when Ryu arrives, there seems to be nothing to worry about. This leaves us with how everyone's lives end up being. Ryu spent the rest of his life helping at-risk youth at a non-profit organization and died at the age of 71. Jay opens a boxing gym and coaches until he dies at age 83. Josh opens a liquor business and dies at the age of 79. John opens a restaurant and provides meals for those in need until he dies at age 61. Quixote resigns from being a chairman and travels the world as a writer until he dies at the age of 93. Gene pursues painting until he dies at the age of 85. Yuto runs a fruit shop with his friends and dies at the age of 88. Marco becomes the chairman of the Boxing Association to end corruption, while Fiasbro founded a charitable organization. Both died at the age of 72 and 73 respectively. Victor became an actor to bring joy to others until he died at the age of 55. Aaron became a doctor after his rehabilitation and died at the age of 85. And finally we have Yu on his deathbed at the age of 84.